Hello and welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today I wanted to talk about the physicality of precious metals. And I want to kind of dig into a little bit more of the rationale and reasoning about why I am buying precious metals versus all the other places I could put my money right now. Now, some of this comes from a recent video, one of the few that I've actually made, where one of the people in the comments had something to say. They said, in relation to why I'm stacking silver instead of gold primarily, I explicitly said primarily, and in the video discussed actually the fact that I was just simply purchasing more silver than gold because I felt the price of gold was a little bit too elevated for my liking. But anyway, regardless of that, this person said, I guess it depends on whether you are moving wealth outside the system to preserve it or ... playing Star Wars dolls with metal. And my assumption right here is that he saw the thumbnail and saw that I had these, kind of like collector pieces of silver that were based on Star Wars characters. And the idea, I guess, is that I am not as a sophisticated or mature investor as somebody who would be putting their money instead into gold because I'm buying silver. And I found that to be very interesting. And again, I'm not asking for anybody to like respond to this person. And I'm going to take it with a grain of salt to the fact that they don't know me. I don't know them. They just want to express their opinion. That's perfectly fine. And my response to them was this, right? I think it depends on a lot more, including a lot of the things I mentioned in the video. I could buy 1 ounce of gold for $4,000, or I can buy 83 ounces of silver for $4,000. Both are moving wealth out of the system to preserve it. However, I personally think that silver has a lot more upside potential than gold at these current figures or prices. Either way, for me, metals make up less than 3% of my total asset valuation. And my point with this is that I am moving money into precious metals because all the other places that I like to invest in, I'm currently happy with the quantity there. I still continue to contribute to those, but I wanted to find an alternative place for cash, essentially. And that's what I'm doing. So the irony here is that although he says it's playing with Star Wars metal dolls because I have silver, the funny part about that is because silver is actually more affordable, I can actually get more pieces of it in a different variety for the same amount of money as gold. And this actually got me thinking. This comment actually got me thinking. He's like, I started thinking more into about why do I want to have precious metals over all the other assets that we can get out there, right? Stocks and ETFs, commodities, real estate, whatever, land, antiques and collectibles, whatever, currency. We all have digital zeros and commas and periods on our bank account statements. Do we trust that any more than anything else? Do we trust those digital bank accounts more than Bitcoin? I don't know. But what I really started thinking about was there was actually a reason why I started to personally want to drive more and more into a physical media world. I think about this primarily with stuff that we live in this digital age, right? Where everything that we own, right, is starting to become digital. Take the photos. We're all taking pictures with our cameras. We're saving them to the cloud or some database somewhere or some thumb drive somewhere. We're not really printing them out and putting them up on the wall to enjoy and appreciate, or putting them in, photo albums to go back and revisit and enjoy over time with family and friends, or as heirlooms or memorabilia. We take them on our phones. We store them on a digital hard drive, and then every year or so when we find out the hard drive's full, we just wipe it and start over again. So do we actually keep those? Then I was thinking about music, right? We used to have cassettes, used to have tapes, used to have CDs, used to have whatever, and now all of your music is consumed digitally through subscription services. It's dropped online digitally. You pay just as much for the digital version as you would a CD. And I found myself actually starting to go back and purchase records. I have a record player, so I listen to records now. I was interested in that. I've been buying CDs to put in my car for the cars that still have a CD player. They don't even make CD players anymore. Even computers aren't even made with CD and DVD and Blu-ray drives anymore. Goes into the movies and media, right? Movie media. Now you're renting HD and 4K whatever HD 4K videos off of your Amazon account or your Netflix account or whatever it is, your Disney account, and you're watching videos there, but you don't actually own the video. The more and more people that tell me that I need to adapt to this digital world and that I shouldn't own something, such as like the World Economic Forum, right? What are they famous for saying something? One of their scenarios was that, in 2030, the idea would be that we rent everything. I think the quote was, "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Whatever you want, you'll rent and it'll be delivered by drone," right? There's some scenario played out in the world. And that, as soon as I hear stuff like that, my first instinct is I want to go out and I want to buy something. I want to buy something physical. I want to buy something that nobody can take from me. I want to buy something that I can hold in my hand. And maybe I am playing with my Star Wars metal silver, but you know what? This has value. Even if I don't get the premium value from the collectible version of this, but if you go on eBay right now and you look these up, 10 ounce Royal Mint Star Wars light side and dark side 10 ounce bars, I guarantee you, if you look at the recently sold, they sold for more than I paid for them. So how could you argue to me that this isn't preserving my wealth? It may not be the way you prefer it, maybe not the way that you do it yourself, but it is still preserving your wealth. Now, also, that made me think about something else, right? He is obviously implying, he didn't say this explicitly, but he's implying that silver is not a preservation of wealth the same way that gold is. And buddy, don't tempt me with a good time. So today, I'm going to pull up some charts after I go through some recent LCS pickups here. And I'm going to pull up some charts and we're going to go ahead and check out the comparisons of gold futures to silver futures and gold historical prices to silver historical prices. And we'll let you, the viewer, decide if only gold is the place where sophisticated investors can go to put their money, and maybe silver is just that place that we just go to play in the sandbox or eat at the children's table while the adults collect their gold. You decide. I'm just going to show the charts and talk about what I'm doing. Again, you do whatever you want. Not really financial advice here. Just me explaining my rationale and my thought process behind what I do. You do what you want to do. As you can see, we popped over here to the gold and silver December 25th futures here. And what I want you to see is look at the charts, right? So gold is the dark blue line. Gold is the dark blue line, and silver is the lighter blue line right below it. Look at the price movement. Look at the trading. Look at the volume. It's all indicative of the same thing. Sure, was there a little bit more of a spike here than in gold? Absolutely. Is there a little bit more of a spike here in gold than silver? Absolutely. But essentially, we're trending in the same direction. I'm pointing this out just to say I'm doing the comparison. If somebody's going to tell me that gold is more of a preservation of wealth than silver, I want to dig in and find out if that is true or not. So we look at this in the futures charts, right, are indicating the same momentum for gold and silver, different varying degrees, but you get in the gist. This is pretty much the same chart. Okay. Now let's go over here and look at gold. All right. Let's look at gold. This is from back to 1996, 300, blah, 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 blah. This is what I was talking about in my other video about volatility. If you didn't watch that, go check it out. We just kind of dig into volatility. It probably really gets into it around like the 10-minute mark or 8-minute mark, but pretty stable. Then look at this. Oh, wow. It's crazy. We start to have a little bit more what would be considered pretty more compared to this timeline. This is pretty volatile, right? Going up, going down, 150. We have a run up, right? I just want you to look at the general chart trends, right? We had a run up in 2012. And then let's see, this was $1,700 to $1,900 on the 2020. This was 2012. So this 8-year period, you had this entire 8-year period where if you had bought here at the top, you had to wait 8-9 years. Now that's why, again, this is a long-term hedge. A lot of us are putting money into stuff because we don't plan to touch it forever. Okay. Then we went 1900 from 2020 all the way to 2023. We had this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, just trying to push through this resistance, right, at these all-time highs and such. And then we break out. And now look at this run up. over the last couple years. The last couple years have been an insane run up. And a lot of people are justifying this as finally, gold and silver aren't being held back. Finally, they're getting their due. I attributed this a lot more to kind of all the things I've said, is like people are trying to rush out of some assets and into what they perceive to be more stable assets. Now, will this be more stable? Will we see some big downturns that drive us back in the other direction for a little bit for a short term? I mean, it wasn't that crazy here, right? 170 to 1200, $500, about 35% drop right there. Just boom, coming right out of the gate. Okay, is that possible here too? I would say absolutely, it's possible. Is it probable? I don't know. Let's go ahead and look at silver's chart. Now, I want you to remember, this was gold. This is where the sophisticates apparently are putting all their money. And those of us collecting silver are just playing with dolls at the kid table. Now, I look at this. There's gold. There's silver. There's gold. There's silver. There's gold. There's silver. Wouldn't you know it? Fairly stable up until about 2025. What did we say over here? Fairly stable up until about 2025, 2026, 2025, 2026. Oh, market started getting a little bit more excited. Now, this is definitely a larger, more volatile, exponential run up there. You can almost say that if you're a trader, this is a better moment for you. If you're a long-term investor, this probably got exciting, and this probably got depressing, right? So we went from this, $50, $45, right? $40, $45. So if you bought anywhere from 2010 to 2013, you were riding a freaking roller coaster, and then the bottom fell out on you, and then you had to go all these years. Let's see. Let's go ahead and give it to right here. Let's go 2020 from where? 2013. So again, another 7 to 8 years where you didn't really see your preservation of wealth, as we're calling it, did not keep up with inflation. In fact, it was lower than inflation if you were only in that for that 8-year period. Okay. So again, I think it is a good inflation hedge long term. I'm talking 20, 30, 40, 50 years. If you're playing these things and you're watching these numbers and you're like getting all excited about 4,000 gold, and you're getting all excited about $50 silver, but you aren't paying attention to the fact that there's 8, 9, 10 years of just of runoff where it wasn't performing better than just putting cash in a bank, I think you just have to be rational with it. I'm not deciding which direction it's going to go. I'm obviously purchasing silver and gold, and I'm putting money in a lot of different places. Gold and silver is just one of them. I don't have all my eggs in any one basket. So for me, I look at this I try to be very objective and non-emotional when I'm talking about this and looking at this. And I think that if you're just taking this period from January 2024 to present, 1.5, 2 year period, as your total justification that this has always been a perfect hedge against inflation, I would argue you're a little bit off. You're just a little bit off. It does help. It does work. But there are many years there where it's actually not the best unless you have a good long time horizon. Time is the solver of most problems, right? The thing is, though, is we're in a world right now where a lot of people who aren't looking at this as a long-term hedge against inflation or a long-term preservation of wealth in either gold or silver, one is up twice its all-time high, and one is only up a little bit at its all-time high, if not even up right now, right? This one is just at its all-time high, and one is up twice. You got to understand that that is going to draw a lot of ugly, bad moths to a flame. A lot of the new people that will be coming, they're not coming because they want to preserve the wealth. They're coming because they want to make trades in a volatile, exciting market, and that will cause those of us who are using it as a preservation of wealth to have to ride through the volatility and relax and stay calm. Understand that we might see dips when these people leave, right? When all this money pushing up all these future prices, when all this money decides that they've gotten all that they want out of this market and they want to move on to the next one, you're going to hear a little bit of a hiss as the balloon deflates a little bit, but it's going to be okay. I still think it's going to be long-term. I think it's going to be okay, but that's just where we're at. Anyway, a little bit different of a video today. I'm just kind of doing, again, my goal with this channel is to just talk about the things that I'm thinking, the things that I'm doing, to listen and respond to your feedback in the comments and help me kind of decide what is interesting to talk about based on the interactions with the videos. And I will go from there. I do appreciate you hanging out, watching this with me. Hope you had a great time. Maybe we learned something, maybe we didn't. Maybe I'm completely wrong and you can educate me in the comments. Either way, thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.